Welcome to chascrazycreations. Run to the dollar store, grab some solar lights. With that and a few thrift store items, we are going to make some awesome DIYs. Let's get started. What? There's a materials list? Look for the link in the description below. I found this vase at the dollar store and then the solar light. I pulled the base off of the solar light and pulled the tab out, stuck that top part of the solar light into the vase, and I created a cool lamp. I added some dollar store rocks to weight it down, and here it is at night. I grabbed this candelabra from a thrift store and 5 solar lights from the dollar store. I squeezed silicone that could be used outside into all of the candle holder spots. Then I grabbed the solar lights, pulled off all of the bases, and then placed the solar light top into the silicone. I repeated that process with all of the solar lights. And I basically turned a candelabra into a solar abra, and I love the way it looks when it glows in the evenings. I found this larger candelabra at the thrift store, and I did the same thing. I used larger solar lights for this one, pulling the base off and then placing all the solar lights into the top. The solar lights cover the top perfectly, no water can seep in, and it creates a beautiful glow at night. I found this candle holder at a flea market, and it was missing the glass pieces. I washed it and cleaned it first, and then I added some Rust-Oleum spray paint and gave it a couple coats and let it dry. I pulled the bases off of 6 solar lights and then I added them to the holes. They fit perfectly. They sit right on top. And I hung it in a tree. Now I needed to make sure that the chain was long enough so that it would get enough sun during the day to glow at night. And here it is. And you can see how lovely it looks in the backyard. And this is a different candle holder that I found at a thrift store. It needed a little love as well. So I started by washing it and then I spray painted it as well. And just like before, I filled each of the holes up with the silicone that I can use outside. And then I pulled the bases off another set of solar lights. These solar lights were from Walmart for 98 cents. And I pulled the orange tab off to make sure it would light up. And I placed it in all of the silicone. So there were 4 total. I hung this one in another tree, but you could hang it from a shepherd's hook or under your porch, just as long as it gets enough light. Which one is your favorite so far? Let me know in the comments below. I found this chandelier for free on Facebook Marketplace. What a deal, right? So I started by removing all of the glass pieces. I'll be using those for another project this fall, so stay tuned for that. Now, if you wanted to, you could pull this whole thing apart and remove all the wiring, but all I did was remove all the wiring from the hanging chain so I wouldn't have a sloppy mess up top. Now, this chandelier was pretty dusty, so I went ahead and gave it a good cleaning and let it dry completely. I wanted to paint this one too, so I started by placing some baggies with a hole in them over the top of the light sockets. I wanted to make this blend in a little bit better and not stand out like a sore thumb. Next, I grabbed a kitchen garbage bag and covered the rest of it so that I would only be spray painting the white parts. I grabbed some Rust-Oleum spray paint and I sprayed all of those white little sockets. I wanted them just to blend in a little bit better and not stick out so much. This worked perfectly, and I let this all dry before I removed all of the plastic. I grabbed 5 solar lights from Walmart. These were just a little bit more expensive, but not much, maybe about $3 a piece. I pulled the base off of each of them and the little tabs on top. And I added silicone to the socket hole and I filled it all the way up to the top. Then I put the solar light top into the socket. Now it gets a little tricky because these socket holes are a little bigger than your typical candle holder. So I like to use painter's tape because it's easy to put on and remove. And I place it over the top of the solar light and then I tape it to the chandelier so that it holds it firm in place. Sometimes 1 piece is enough and sometimes you need more like 2 pieces. So I went ahead and filled up all the rest of the holes with the silicone and added all of the tops of the solar lights and then added the tape to the top of everything. I let that sit for 24 hours to make sure it's nice and solid. Once it was nice and solid, I was able to remove all of the painter's tape, and then I hung this one up in a tree. Again, you can hang this under a gazebo, a front porch, or on a shepherd's hook if you choose. And here it is at night, and I love this one and how it turned out and the beautiful glow it has. Want to be notified of future videos? Look for the links in the description below. I got these 3 candle holders from a garage sale. I started by washing them, cleaning them all up, letting them dry, and then I spray painted them all with some Rust-Oleum spray paint. That was good for outdoors. I let that dry completely before I moved on to this next step. Now you could use your silicone again, but I'm using Fix-All super glue from the dollar store, and I've got some light fixtures that I found also at a thrift store, and I'm just adding some of that Fix-All to that. And then I turned it over and placed that on top of the candle holder. And you could tape this in place if you were worried about it falling off, but I'm going to let this dry completely. I'm going to repeat this process with the other 2 candle holders, adding some of that fix-all to some more light fixtures that I found, and then placing them on top of the candle holders. Once I got all 3 of these complete, I let it dry for 24 hours before going to the next step. So for this next step, I found these large solar lights at Walmart. They're a little bit more, but not much. And then they slid right into the candle holder. They fit right into the hole, and then they covered the top. So water could technically leak in these a little bit. So you could add a little silicone seal. As you can see, the 2 smaller solar lights that I got fit more perfectly. And all I would have to do is add a little seal to those, and then it would fit nicely. So it's up to you, and it depends upon your environment and your climate, what you'll need to do. We are a pretty dry climate here in Colorado, so I'm going to leave them as is. And here they are at day. And then here's another look at them in the evening. And I just love how they add a little something special to our front porch. It also helps light up the front porch so it's easy to see when guests arrive. For this project, my father-in-law gave me this piece. I'm not even sure what it was for, maybe a plant stand, but clearly it's missing something. So I went ahead and washed it up, and then I gave it a coat of Rust-Oleum spray paint. Again, all the paint I choose is with primer built in, and it's made so it can be outside. So I coated the entire thing with the spray paint, and then I let that dry completely. I found a giant punch bowl at the thrift store, super cheap, and I placed it into this stand, and it fit perfectly. So the next thing I did was fill that bowl up with a bunch of water. I found this super cool solar fountain online. The little bars help it stay in place, and then there were several heads to choose from, so you could pick the one that works best for you and the look you're going for. But the bonus in it is that it was actually a solar light as well. So it has a battery pack power to keep it running into the evenings, and the solar light changes color. So I was super excited about that, and I'm excited to have this in my backyard. I found this pink vase at the thrift store, and I grabbed one of those dollar store solar lights, pulled off the base and pulled out the tab, and then I added the top piece to the vase, and it fit right inside perfectly and overlapped nicely. I was able to create another lamp for a table outside. And here it is in the evening, and this one will be going on my front porch. I grabbed a plain vase from the dollar store and I cleaned it all up. For this next step, I'll be using Folk Art Murano glass paint. I started with the blue paint and I just started squiggling it around all over the vase. And then I added some of the color green and some of the color purple. Then I started kind of tapping it and using the tip to blend it until it kind of filled in all of the spaces and got the look that I was looking for. So here's a little look at it. It's completely coated now, kind of has a tie-dye look. And now I'm going to let that dry completely. So it takes about 48 hours to cure, and here's what it looks like. So it's supposed to replicate Murano glass. I love how this looks. So I have this old candle holder, and I went ahead and placed the vase into the center of this candle holder. It fit perfectly. Then I pulled the top off of a solar light, and I placed it into the vase on top. Now I'm going to leave this here on my front porch, but I could hang it up because it does have a handle. I love that this paint can be used outside. It's no problem at all. And I hope this inspires you to create some solar light creations of your own. I'd love it if you subscribe to my YouTube channel and my blog at chascrazycreations.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Want 21 sensible home hacks to make you a smarter homeowner? Look for the link in the description below. And it's free.